Hey, and welcome to Tax Tuesday with the Tax Queen. And yeah, we are here first Tuesday of every month. Just as a reminder, I join live and answer questions. So I am Heather Ryan, the owner of Tax Queen, and I support digital nomads, RVers, basically anyone who's nomadic, traveling the world or the US, North America, whatever it looks like, with taxes. And this is an opportunity for you to ask questions as I go live. I usually go on, well, first with questions that were submitted beforehand, so you can get those answers. And then if we have some time afterwards, I will answer questions live. If you are joining me live, can you just let me know the sound is all good? Just give me a thumbs up or let me know where you're joining from. I love to see where everyone is. Um, that would be helpful. I just want to make sure everything's working. And if not, I'm going to jump in here and get on with question one. I have a few questions ahead of time. And again, if I have some time at the end, I'm happy to answer some live questions. So yeah. Question number one, we're transitioning to full-time RVing and I'm established an LLC, which I will change to my domicile. We pay estimated taxes. According to state's requirements, I'm a contractor for companies that provide consulting. No selling, no on-site services. Okay. There's a question of where I'm physically when I do the work. I may be working on a project for several weeks and therefore could be in multiple states. So I'm not really understanding the question here. Um, And yeah, I'm not 100% understanding. I just want to basically kind of reiterate some of these things, like as a business owner, so LLC doesn't make a difference, legal entity, right? So we're acting as a sole proprietor. That means that you own a business. You file a Schedule C. So LLC, again, legal thing. And then I'm not really sure what you're asking about where I physically do the work. Um, I normally will say if people have a domicile and you're doing online sales or online work, you know, you're reporting and filing your tax return according to your domicile address. So that's where your business is located. Most people that I'm working with in their businesses aren't making high enough thresholds to be worried about filing in each state. The states all have different thresholds, especially when you're talking about like sales tax and nexus, and it can get complicated. But generally speaking, yeah, if you're an LLC legal entity, remember that, not taxable entity. So we're sole proprietor if there's single member. And yeah, we report our income and we pay taxes according to our domicile. Um, I hope that answers that question. If you are live, feel free to follow up with that question, or follow-up questions. Yeah. So second question I got in advance, how to record my income in bookkeeping software. I have both online sales services and even in-person sales. Can I lump it all together or does it need to be stated separately? So this is a loaded question because as a tax person and from a tax perspective, I don't care. The taxes, you report income, it's income, right? It doesn't matter where it came from. So from a tax perspective, it doesn't matter. Simple answer, right? From taxes. From a business owner standpoint, I think it's really important to know and separate out the different avenues of sales. So whether it's an online sale, whether it's a service, whether it's an in-person, like at a specific event, you might even report, I went to such and such event, so you know if that was worth it or not. Services, the same thing. Are you selling several services? And so it's really good to track after, so much time, one of the services is doing really well, and maybe some of the other things are not. And so you can look at that and say, do I need to tailor my marketing? Do I need to lower my price, raise my price? I mean, all kinds of data can be basically taken if you're separating out. So please be aware using bookkeeping software from a tax perspective, it doesn't matter. Income is income, sales are sales, whatever. But from a business owner, it's really important to separate those out and to really understand your numbers. So hope that answers that question. Third question I got, I just started a business and I need to pay in quarterly taxes. Do I base this off of the total amount of income and self-employment taxes I expect to pay at the end of the year? Or do I pay self-employment taxes calculated based off of income? Uh, so I guess the person is asking about self-employment taxes, well, paying quarterly taxes. So let's just start there. Um, Paying quarterly taxes is really important as a business owner. I have seen it for people other than business owners too. If we have income not being enough, sorry, we're not withholding enough taxes from whatever, whether that's a W-2 or 1099, Social Security, right, throughout the year. So we should be paying in quarterly estimated. So the US is it pay as we go, right? Pay as we earn. So that's why we make these quarterly estimated payments. And they are to meet your tax obligation. So technically, when you file March, April, whenever that is, um, you should owe less than $1,000 or be a refund of less than $1,000. That's what I like to strive for because it's very hard to get down to the dollar, right? Right. So within that $1,000 range, to me, as you've done a great job throughout the year. If you owe more than that, um, you haven't been paying enough. If you get a higher refund, right, then you've paid too much. So it's a delicate balance. But as far as owning a business and paying self-employment tax, remember that self-employment tax is 15.3%. That's your Social Security and your Medicare tax. So the net profit of the business right there, right, we have to pay that amount in. We also have to factor in income tax. So that's a separate calculation, and we have a tax brackets. So it's kind of challenging to say you should pay 10% or 15%, right? It just depends on what the rest of your income looks like. So that's a very rough guide. I do work with my clients on an individual basis for their unique situations to help them with estimated payments throughout the year. So that is a service that many, I think, tax professionals offer. I'm also going to share a little bit of an article on paying self-employment taxes. Hopefully that might help too if you want to check that out. Okay, last question that I received in advance, and if you're here live, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. I probably should have a few minutes and we can get to them. We recently purchased a truck and a fifth wheel. My wife's business is selling crafts at craft fairs. I have been trying to figure out how we might be able to write off this new truck and RV as a business expense. Okay, I know the tax laws make this hard. Is there a way this can be done? So, short answer is no. It is a huge red flag to me to deduct your truck, an expensive truck, and a fifth wheel, or any RV for that matter. Um, it's rarely ever used strictly for business, right? RVs are in the nature of recreational vehicles, so most people are using them for personal, right? There's exceptions. Um, I also I also caution about this ever taking like a depreciation or whatever. You might see a great tax savings in year one, but when you go to sell that truck or that fifth wheel, RV, whatever, put it in there, you have to recapture depreciation that you've taken. So if you take $50,000 of depreciation this year on an RV, right? And in 2 years from now, you sell that RV. Yes, you're recapturing $50,000 of income. So I really caution against this. We don't I don't ever say buy anything, right? Whether it's a computer, whether it's a big piece of equipment, whether it's an RV, never buy something with the hopes of taking it on your taxes, right? Buy it because you need it, buy it because you enjoy it. Maybe it is something that you labels you to get to events or whatever. That's great. But don't look at as tax dollars, tax depreciation, tax write-offs, right? So just be aware of that. With that said, if you're going to craft fairs or art shows for business purposes, take mileage for that truck. Mileage to me is a much better way to go. Um, so keep a really good mileage log. It can be electronic. That's usually the preferred method. And yeah, take mileage. I don't see anything wrong with that. So, yeah. Okay, so those are all the questions that I got ahead of time. If anyone is here and wants to ask any questions live, I see someone's joining me for Perump. Awesome. And yeah, otherwise, I'm gonna cut this short and let you guys go back to your day. And the next one will be November 4th if you want to put it on your calendar. And I'm going to share the link if you want to submit a question ahead of time. Remember, I always go for questions submitted ahead of time first, and then we'll go anything live if anyone has any. This is kind of a slow month, which is great, but I'm happy to answer anything in the meantime. And yeah. Well, I want to wrap this up then and keep it nice and short and sweet. I appreciate anyone who's here watching me live or even after the fact. And I will see you next time, again, November 4th, Tuesday, first Tuesday, Tax Tuesday. Have a great month.